Hello everyone, today we're going to make a waterfall chart. And I think it's really important to make a waterfall chart because when you're doing variance analysis of corporations, if you're trying to do this outside of Excel and say in a tool like Tableau or Power BI, you're really going to have to give some thought to it. Now this is a very popular type of chart that we do, and particularly for financial planning and analysis where we put in planning and budgeting systems. For controllership, everybody wants to see everything in a waterfall chart because they want to be able to visualize what the change is. But like everything in the world of visualizations, in the world of analytics, it's all about the data. And make no mistake, the data drives everything. So, the chart is just a capability, but the data is what drives it. So if you think about this for a second, just pause for a moment. What's going on? And if we look at, let's say we're analyzing my vacation expenses, and I want to see what's going on with my vacation expenses. And the way it started off the prior quarter, I had spent, say, through the first half of the year, $5,000, in vacation expenses. I took a big vacation right before COVID hit. I took a big vacation. However, after COVID, in the next quarter, not so much, right? I did have to take a couple of trips because we weren't really sure. I had to do some things I didn't really want to do, but I was forced to do it. But in reality, I had this. So you can see with the data, I had vacation expenses, expense types basically. The prior quarter, I just basically summed them from the previous quarter to make it simple. Then I had airfare, hotel, Uber, event tickets, because sometimes when I go out to places, what I'll do is I'll do some kind of an event when I'll go there. And a lot of this happens to be the consultant reimbursable for me, but at the same time, this vacation expenses implies it's personal. So in this case, it's all about my personal expenses. Now, if you're a corporation, you can imagine you have many people doing things. So you want to create categories of expenses. So I bucket everything into airfare. Now remember, these could be in thousands. It could be $1 million in airfare. And it could be $500,000 in hotels. It doesn't really matter, but you want to create categories. You don't want to be sitting there with 50,000 rows of data because then your waterfall chart kind of loses it. You want to have nice groupings of accounts. That's really important. This is a good finance and accounting structure. And the fact that we're doing a visualization tool is even better. So let's go, now that shows you the data, let's go in to Tableau. So in Tableau, I uploaded the sheet. It's in here. It's called Waterfall. Remember, we were in Excel. And it was waterfall sheet. And it had two dimensions, vacation expenses and amount. So what we have to do is throw up the vacation expenses into the columns, throw the amount into the rows in that regard, and voila, we get the chart that shows what's going on. The second part of this is to switch it to a running total. Let's see. Wait. Quick table calculation, running total. Okay, and you can see things are adding up. The other thing is to switch this to a Gantt chart. You do that from here, because if you try to do it from the show me phase, it's kind of grayed out, so it doesn't really know. So you have to override it and put it over here from the Gantt chart. So now you got the Gantt chart. So now the challenge is, just like your resume assignment, you have a Gantt chart, but you have no depth. So let's take amount inside of size. And now we have a Gantt chart going on. The other thing is, it's really not, it just, we sorted everything. So I got to sort these things, sort them in the proper way. Because I want everything to go from left to right. Like we did everything before. We always talked about it. Everybody wants to see everything left to right. So let's put the prior quarter out here. And then that's cool. But that's kind of odd, right? Do you notice how the prior quarter starts going way up? That's kind of really not what we want, right? We want it to be the other way, where we're filling in the space. This is kind of visual analytics. So you want things to show in the inverse on how you do it. You want to show like the full color and then how you're gradually making your way to the top. So what we need to do is create a calculated formula, create a calculated field, and we're going to call it negative amount. And the way we do that, if we take amount, just drag it in. And once the amount's dragged in, that way you don't have to type it and then put a negative sign in front. And voila, the calculation is valid. Just say, okay. Now the negative amount's here. Let's drag it into size. And look, we already have the construct for travel expenses, right? So we can save this. The thing is to not overthink some of these things. But I still don't like it because I don't see the grand total. So let's go analysis, totals, show grand totals. I think it was row, and there's a grand total. So now we have to see from each one of the, where we were prior quarter, all the expenses I had all year, which are bigger, which are less. You can see the net change in everything from time to time. And if you like, you could put, well, we don't really have many fields here, but color coding on them to make it a little bit nicer. But really, this is great because now if you're looking at something, it's visually, you tell it right away. It's like, oh my goodness, we spent a ton on airfare and a ton on meals. In fact, we spent almost as much on meals as we did airfare. So wherever we went, we spent an awful lot of money eating. So that was really cool and save it. I think this is a good example of a waterfall chart. It's meaningful, one that's used in finance all the time. The good part about this is when you put it on server, you get on somebody's phone, they can see their expenses right away. I guess suppose you can put you can put a budget calendar out here and add a separate access. You can put the budget and you can see where you are to budget. You're like, certainly I didn't expect to be spending this money, but I had to do a trip I didn't really want to do in the age of COVID. I was forced to, but long story short, I can analyze exactly how my travel expenses went. I hope that that was helpful.